Well, I'm really excited to share my lesson with you today about total abstraction. And the main focus is we're going to be working with colors, any color of your choice. We'll be talking quite a bit about color. We're also going to work with lost and found edges. Now, right now, pouring liquid color onto a watercolor paper is a very popular medium. And artists are working mostly in total realism. They do a lot of drawing, a lot of masking. They work on a wet surface. They work with primary colors, and they tip and pour these colors around. They dry, more masking, more color, tip, and so on. We're going to do an alla prima style, all at once. We're just going to start, put the color onto a wet surface that you have predetermined where the wet shapes are going to be. And then we're just going to start adding more and more color and developing it into these lovely paintings. So we're going to get started now. I'm going to talk about the materials that you need to do this. Okay. To talk about the materials, first of all, you just need a couple of containers. I just have these little small plastic cups that I'm going to mix the paint in. This is called a pipette. And when the color is mixed, I'll use this to suck up the paint and to apply it to the surface. And then I'm just, for a little trick, I'm going to add a powdered metallic watercolor. And these are available from many, many sources. This happens to be a Daniel Smith. I have every color metallic he makes. And so I chose silver because the colors I've chosen are going to look better with silver. Of course, you're going to need a fine mister. And this has a narrow inner stem so that when you press this, you're going to get a nice fine mist. And then we're going to need, I'm going to use 140 pound paper, but any paper will do. But I would say 140 pounds would be the minimal. You need that weight. And then we're going to be working with salt. Now this is just table salt, easy to get at. And then I'm going to be using some collage. And for my collage, I'm going to use this lovely store-bought napkin. And one of the things that's important is you need to take the backing off of this. Now, when you try to do this, very often it's kind of difficult. But generally, this was easy. I can't believe I got it all. So you can see, these become very, very transparent when all that white backing paper is off. What you see is what's going to happen in the final picture. So I'm going to show you a little trick with napkins. A lot of times when you go to remove the backing, it's very, very hard to get the backing started. So here's a little trick I learned from Kathy George. Very clever. Just take a little piece of masking tape, rip it into two, put one on this side, one on this side, and voila. Sure. There it goes. And see, this would have been a really difficult one to separate. You can just tell by how hard it is to separate it. So it would have been really hard to get it started. So that's a really cool trick. Thank you, Kathy. The last thing we need is paint. And I recommend using tubes. Like, I have a whole drawer full of tubes that they've just accumulated over the years. Colors I thought were important and they turned out to be opaque or whatever. Too granulating, too staining, whatever. This is the time to dig into that drawer. You should see my drawer now. Almost depleted. So anyway, I have chosen two colors that have been around a while. I might even have to have a pair of pliers to open them. One is ground up rock. This is a whole series of paint that Daniel Smith put out, and it's very highly granulating. I'm very excited about that. And the other one I've chosen is an opaque color. And I generally don't work with opaque colors, but in this case, I'm really excited about it. So the next thing I want to do is show you some pictures of process, and then we're going to paint a picture. Okay, I'm excited to share with you some of the paintings I've been working on recently. Here you can see the first step. I almost always do them in two steps. First the underpainting, and then coming in and making it into a final piece. And here you can see there are found edges, lost edges that I sprayed away. There's also a lot of salt that I use mostly on the edges to create these really beautiful transitions. And see, then I came in, added some collage, and did the dark pattern. Here's another one. Now what I do is the paper is dry, and I take a brush and I paint the shapes that I want. And I'm thinking about movement as I do this. Then I added, in this case, harmonic colors, red and yellow. And then I even took my fingernail and moved some of the paint around. Sometimes you have to, you'll see when I do it, sometimes you have to make little bridges so the color in that will run into the color in that. Then as I started to develop this, I started adding some collage paper and darks. And then I added more color, more darks, and the final piece, you can see I even added a little more bling. It's kind of hard to tell in this painting here, but I actually sprayed with metallic spray using stencils and added some linear shapes and some color sanding. Very fun. This is the final one. Here's the additional gold that I added. I'm having a lot of fun with bling these days. I'm planning to use a little bling in this one too. And then this was the initial underpainting. I was really excited about it. You can see I went for value in this one. The very, very dark value, very light value. And then I have the lost edges and the salt. I don't like all the edges hard. I really like the fact that you're working with found and lost edges. And then on this one I came back, you can see I lifted out using a stencil and Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. I've added some more collage, I've added some more bling. I went outside and sprayed some metallic spray about here. So you can see how I pushed down some of the darks with the spray, but I'm really happy with the final results. And then this one, I started working with these granular colors. This is that ground up rock I just mentioned. And so I really like what happens when you start adding these colors and then of course spraying into it to lose some edges. Here I added some more darks and some more salt. And then I came back and after it dried, I added some collage. And then I started lifting out shapes. This is Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and the addition of some more color. So I think we're ready to get started. First of all, I'm just going to take these tubes here and I'm going to squeeze it out. Now, I initially had dumped out all my leftover paint, invited the students to use it, and they were squeezing it like this until it dripped. That was way more paint than we needed. So go to the bottom, squeeze out a little dab, and I'm almost at the bottom of this tube. And then press the tube down to cut it off. See? Put the cover back on. And you can see now I just have a little dab of paint in the bottom. Now I'm going to cover that with maybe about a 1/4 inch of water. Just barely cover it. And then I'm just going to take my brush here and get it all nice and activated. So any fresh paint that's in the brush, be sure to work it, get it all nice and clean and dissolved. Okay, this is good. One down. Okay, now we're going to do the same with this really granular color. So get the cover off, go way to the bottom, squeeze it out until you have a nice little dab. Cover back on. Just cover it with a little water. Again, about a 1/4 inch or just till that little dab is kind of covered. And then I'm going to take, here I am, why did I put that away? Here we go. So now I'm just going to take and do the same thing again. Get this dissolved. I usually have to press on it work it, and then get it off my brush. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. I'm excited. So I'm just going to work with these two colors. So I'm going for dark value with an accent color, which happens to be opaque. So we'll get our paper out. Okay, I'm ready to start. Now it's always a good idea to have a support board. And I like this board because it's just slightly bigger than the paper itself. So I can handle it very easily without ever having to handle the wet artwork. You don't want to do that. And I got the idea that I'd like to work with a square. So I've just got 2 half sheets here. And I'm going to use one of them as a measure. And I'm going to now just take and rip this off. This is how I like to rip my paper. I like to keep this triangle and just run my finger along. There, ready to go. Oh, that's perfect. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to design what I'm going to do. This isn't just going to happen. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to get some designs going here. So you can see I've got these little idea sketches, often called thumbnail sketches. And I usually work with organic shapes. You can see these are very organic, moving, round. And lately I've been trying to work with more vertical and horizontal, less organic. I don't know what to call them, except straight. I'm going to take my idea sketch. I'm actually interested in the ones that are less organic. But the good news is these will be available for you to download free. Just look for the prompts and you'll find them. So what I'm going to do now is, in this space, we save this just for you, is to think about what it is you want to do. And remember, I cut this end off, so I'm not even going to look at that section. And what I want to do, first of all, is to get some kind of movement that comes across and then comes down. And it's always good to do these like in a position of 1/3. So if you're looking for a formula, boy, you can't go wrong if you do something like this in approximately 1/3. But that's way, way too simple. I don't want to do just that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come out and bring a second loop. And I'm just thinking about maybe doing a series of dark shapes at the top. And then some extra dark shapes developed in here, because when you're working with a cruciform composition, you want your horizontal and your vertical, where they overlap and interlock, you want that to be the most interesting part. So at this point, I usually come in and zigzag across, develop some movement that will bring your viewer's eye out a little bit. Maybe up here I can stack up some shapes here for almost a second movement through here. And then I want to bring some more color down here. So this doesn't look like a lot, but this is what really helps me. I feel like while I'm doing this, I'm actually painting the picture. So this is going to be my idea sketch to get started. So I'll take that down, fold it away, and I'll just set this over here so I've always got that reference. Now I'm really excited about this part. This is where I'm thinking design, I'm thinking movement. Eventually I'm going to think color and lost edges and so on. So we're going to start by taking and tinting a little color. So I'm going to have my water handy. I'm just going to use my palette here, and I'm going to take, of course I don't want any color on here that isn't related to this particular picture. Clean that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this color, very diluted. Don't use the color itself. Use a very lean, just slightly tinted version of it, so that when you start putting this color down on the paper, you can actually see what's happening. So remember I talked about that third this is what I want to happen here. I'm going to come in and start developing by using this water. I'm going to start developing this movement coming down in this 1/3. And there's a lot of water in this. This isn't just a little bit of water. This is a lot of water. And now we're going to move it across horizontally. So it's going to come across here, and it's going to zigzag its way off. In fact, remember I wanted to have a lot of color, dark color, happening up here. So I'm going to take you right across. Now I want to move it across down here. And see, I already need just a little bit more of this tinted water. So I'm going to come in across here. And I want it to come down, just flow. Now is the moment. We're going to take our pipette and we're going to draw up the color and start just dropping it in here. And let it move. Oh, this is so fun. Down here, I'm going to start it here. And you can see every color you choose is going to move differently. Look at how this moves. This is a pretty unusual color. It loves this wet surface. Now, in order for it to move this much, that's a lot of water. So don't be skimpy with the water. Just get in there and do it. So I'm coming in here, coming down, coming across. Now I'm going to use this board to actually do a little tipping, get the color to move. And as I tip it like this, I'm also creating this granular look. I'm loving this, really loving this. Now let's say you have it build up too much in one area and it could possibly start to run. That's what this pipette is for. Just suck it up and put it back in your little thing. Because I don't really want this to make its own path. I designed it and I want it to stay there. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna put a little more color in here now. I don't really want all these edges. I like the whites that are happening too, but I just happen to want a little more color in my focal area. So see, right now I'm going to put a little bit more color in these areas, mostly along the 1/3, maybe just a little bit over here. Let's tip it again. Whoa! Another editing space. I managed to spill my paint, but not all of it. Okay, so now we're going to tip it again and just watch that beautiful granulation. So again, I'm ready to suck up any extra color that I didn't plan on. There's a little accident. Sometimes I'll just use this as a chance to move the color from one spot to another. The fun thing about this is I want you to take risks. I want you to just feel, I can do this. And I'm going to enjoy it. Oops, there I got a little, I wasn't supposed to do that, but I'll accept it. So now I'm going to play with the darks. Oh, this is the part I've been waiting for. So I'm going to now take my real granular dark color. Remember, this is ground up rock. And they have every conceivable product. They're all pretty heavy because they're rock based or clay based, mineral based. Okay, here's where the fun starts. Ta-da! Now this is going to be dark. This is like graphite. And see, I also want to have some fun with some of these shapes. I'm using this as a drawing tool. When I originally did this lesson and I was experimenting, how should I proceed with this lesson? I was literally pouring the paint right out of the cup. I'll tell you what, this pipette is very important because it is a drawing tool. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to actually come in and just dance around with this. I'm going to also come across here. And I'm going to do some big swooping movements here. I want to take your eye off the page. See, I already went off the page here. I do want to go off up here too. So I'm going to put lots more paint up here. I wanted some dark up here. Now we're going to just dance around here. I'm in control. And I really enjoy this scripty look. So much for the straight lines. I can see I got pretty organic in this one. But that's what you have to do. You just go with the flow, so to speak. I like these little connecting lines here. Let's add a few more. I feel like I'm writing a love letter to somebody. Maybe you. I'm writing to you. That's what I'm doing. So with the slightest pressure, I can get this extra paint to come out and actually acts as a drawing tool. It's too good to be true. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit more down here. And I'm going to do a little bit of tipping. Because when I tip it, one of the things that happens is I get this extensive granulation. See, this is what I really love, is the granular quality I get when it's running like this. Oops, I see I have another little, I gotta turn this into something. Oh, that's so beautiful. It's really interesting how you get into this, what's happening. Now, another thing that I'm really enjoying is this powdered metallic watercolor. It's been around a long time. It's not new. And what's so cool about it is you can use it wet or you can use it dry. Let's say you want to use it wet. So I just dip my brush in water, I pick up the product, and this quickly I have liquid watercolor, only it's metallic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with the dry metallic. I'm going to pick it up with a dry brush. So see, this is a dry brush. I'm just going to go in and pick some up, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on here. And it'll stick to where it's wet. Ah, I love it. Love this silver bling. Beautiful. When it dries, it'll retain that metallic look. This is where it's like, it's hard to stop. It's like eating potato chips or something. I'm having too much fun here. I'm gonna have to make, Jonas is gonna have to take this away from me. Oh, that's it. No, I'm done. Okay, so we're gonna put the metallic stuff away. And then when this is dry, I'll turn this paper over because there's probably a lot of metallic that fell on the dry paper and you wanna kind of clean that up. So we're at a stage now where I need to think about some of the lost edges. Remember, this is about lost and found edges. And this is only an underpainting. So what I want to do now is I want to soften. See, this is already nice and soft, but I think I will just add a little bit more to make sure we've got soft edges. I think I'll lose a little here too. Have a tissue handy if it goes too far or you can't get soft enough, you can just lift it off. And I do want to make sure this edge stays nice and soft down here. Love it. I might lose an edge right in here too. So with just a little spray, I can come in and soften that edge. So I love the idea. See, we have a hard edge here, but a lost edge here. These edges are all hard, very decorative, very soft. I love that. And over here, now we can actually take our pipette. Now, as I'm examining all of these edges, see, I'm going to keep some of these edges very crisp. And I might accent it just a little bit more here. So beautiful hard edges here. Ooh, I love this area. And I'm glad this is lost, found. Ooh, here's another area. We could soften right here. Get those edges to soften up a bit. See, and I often get in there with my finger as well as the tissue to get that beautiful lost edge. Over here, I think we're already okay. So right now I'm very happy with just maybe one or two little additions of the dark here in my focal area. We're going to just let this dry, and when I come back, I'm going to show you how I'll finish it. But remember this lovely napkin? Ooh, see, this was my inspiration. This beautiful scripty shapes. I was thinking about this, and so when I come back now, I'm going to be adding some of this onto the dry surface. So I'll see you in a little while. Well, we're back. Everything's dry. Oh, I'm really happy with this underpainting. And the big thing is, I love the color. See, I very seldom work with opaque color. And opaque color rises up. So you can just feel it just almost lifting off the paper. And now I want to develop more of these shapes. And as you recall, this lovely napkin, this is my ticket. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off some of these really beautiful script-like shapes that I'm in love with. And I was kind of glad I didn't look at the napkin when I did this, because I'm really happy with the shapes that happened. Now, whenever there's a straight edge on a napkin, I get rid of it. So I'm just kind of tapering that off. Beautiful. Okay, so one of the things I want to do is I want to continue this now with these napkins. So I need to put them in the focal area. So I'm just going to come along here and grab some of these interesting patterns. I don't need a whole bunch of them, but I need a few to really develop it. This is kind of a nice vertical shape, so I think I'll come in here in this, somewhere in this position. Yeah, probably right about in there. And then we'll just grab, I keep trying to grab different combinations here. Now I'm trying to avoid that gold here, but I'm going to add some little parts here. A lot of times I'll take a big piece like this and then I'll break it up. So I think I'll do that right now. I'm just going to rip this apart and kind of move the viewer over here. Maybe connect it to that shape right there. Ooh, I like that a lot. That's lovely. So this is what I do. I just kind of play with these shapes. Maybe I could do like a reversal here. Put this here. So I basically want to follow these shapes horizontally, and then I want to develop a kind of a ziggy-zaggy vertical too. That looks pretty good. Wow, this is smooth. Smooth, I love it. So now we're going to continue down here. This has got a lovely swoop to it, so let's connect it to this. Oh yeah, this is too easy. And I like some of these finer lines too. So it's just a matter of maybe a few more of these critical lines. Ooh, I'll connect it. I love it when they connect. There, that's good. That's good. We got a few more here we could run across. Maybe over here. Connecting there. So now we're going to need a glue. The glue of my choice is Yes Paste. And this is available everywhere. We of course have it on our online store. And for years this was not an acid-free product, but you'll notice now acid-free Yes Paste. And it's an all-purpose paste, but it's kind of unusual. When you open it up, it's completely solid. So what I do is I simply slake it down with a little water. So here's one that I put some water in. And see, now it has slaked down into this very soft, ooh, it's beautiful. And I can just kind of take it right off the top here. But see, this would be really good if I were gluing down 140-pound paper to 140-pound paper. But what I want is I want this a little bit leaner. So I'm just going to put in a little more water. It's a completely water-soluble glue. If I forget it on my brush, it'll just break right up clean up with water. So see, what I'm going to do now is just get this a little bit leaner. I want it very thin. So it's got plenty of glue, but it's also thin enough to penetrate through this very lightweight paper. So this is about perfect right here. You can just see it runs. Sure, you can't see that. And so now I don't want to put too much glue. One of the things that can happen is it can stay sticky. We don't want it to stay sticky. So I'm going to wipe away a little bit of glue, position this where I want it, press it down, and I have to make sure that this glue completely penetrates through the paper and leaves this absolutely transparent look. Isn't that lovely? Again, this is the one I picked for a nice vertical shape. This one over here, I'm going to have it connect to that line that's already there. Maybe a little higher. Oh yeah, that's better. But the important thing, make sure that glue penetrates all the way through. Very important. So here we go. Doesn't take very long. This, oh yeah, I like this here. And then over here, I was looking to pick up this little shape. Lovely. And then we'll continue this shape over here, breaking out just a bit. And I have one more up here that I like. Nice. Well, that certainly helped to tie together this lovely calligraphy. Both my horizontal and my vertical have been developed. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to add some more intensity to some of the colors. So now I'm just going to take out a brush, wet the brush, come in, stir this paint a bit, because remember this has got a lot of heavy materials in it that sink. And what I really want to do now is in my area of interest, I want to build up just a little bit more color. So I'm going to first of all attack this lovely horizontal shape. And this is forming some hard edges. And when I form hard edges, I try to make it in a focal area. So this is my focal area where all these things are crisscrossing. So it's kind of a simple game. I'm just going to add a little bit more intensity here, increase some of the hard edges I see, but then the other edges are lost. So whenever I find an edge, I also lose an edge. So let's carry this across here. And I can always wet my brush, shake it out, and just come in with just a little bit of water on my brush and intensify that. And just to give you an idea up close, let's move in close here for a minute. and just let you see this excitement here when I start adding this color. So see, I'm intensifying the color. I'm looking for those edges that are really interesting, and then I'm losing the edges where I want them lost. So like I said, it's all about lost and found edges. Let's do a couple over here. This is a very focal area right here, moving across. Let's intensify it a bit, but lose the other areas. Maybe another little shot right here. Maybe a little bit in here. And then we'll lose the others. So see, I already like what's happening. Now I'm going to bring you down with a little more color. Lose the edges, because I love all that granulation. I don't want to lose that, but I do want the color to jump a little more. Now this is an area, very, very important area. Again, we're going to find some hard edges here. Maybe one more spot right over here. Let's move out again and look at it. Okay, now we're ready to think about, do we need some more attention to the darks? Do we want to go with more darks? I think we're doing okay with the darks. Now if I want to, I can still add more intensity with this Daniel Smith metallic silver. So again, I could use this if I want to. All I have to do is wet my brush. So my brush is wet now. I come in here, and this is very easy to activate. So all I need is a surface like this, and I've got liquid metallic. It's pretty exciting. So now if I want to, I can actually come in here and intensify some of the metallic. And if I did do that, it would definitely be in the focal area. I wouldn't necessarily do it anywhere else. Could have a little fun lifting with some movement. But it's pretty subtle. I think we got quite a bit of bling just with dropping it into the wet. But again, if this is something that you really want to accent, just remember, this wonderful metallic oxide can be made into a liquid just with the dip of a brush in water. So we're done with that. Now, one of the things I would like to do is to develop just a little bit more texture in some of these areas. And one of the ways I can do that is with Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and a stencil. So now if I want to, I can just lay this stencil down and lift out a passage of white, say from here, that would come through and connect to this passage of white. So what I usually do, this is the original brand, there's nothing in it, it's just this foamy surface, and it's amazing what this can do. So I cut it up in little pieces, take clean water, squeeze it out really good, and I usually end up wiping it on my pants too. So it's moist, but it's not at all dripping wet. And one of the things I just mentioned is I'd like to connect this white space here with this white space. And it's this easy. You just come in and just simply, using the stencil, I can lift out back to the white of the paper, and I can create a lovely little textural movement here. So I'm kind of zigging and zagging my way over here. This is so much fun. I don't want to lift too much. Now watch how fun this is. I'm going to move in closer so you can actually see it. So we're going to lift this away, and look at that. we have that beautiful little passage now where the white is connecting. I like the connection here, and I think it would be nice to repeat this somewhere. And I think the most likely place is to lift a little in here, right up here. So again, I'm just going to place this, get some interesting patterns, and starting here with the silver, which reads as kind of a light. I'm going to come in here and lift out just a little bit, a little passage of light. So it's nice to know you can always go back to the white of the paper this easily. Mr. Clean, a stencil, and voila. So I do like that passage. Now let's back out, and I'm going to do a little touch of color sanding, and we're done. I'm quite happy with this. Now color sanding, we're also going to use the stencil, but this time we're going to use watercolor pencils. And this is a little extravagance that I treated myself to. These are called Cretacolor woodless watercolor pencils. So there's no wood in these whatsoever. This is all pigment. And they're protected by a plastic, and I don't worry about that. I just go ahead and sand whatever comes out here. And then I can pick with this particular over $100 for all these. I can't remember. I think there's over 75 colors, but look at how beautiful. I mean, colors you would never get. I do use this a lot. And I also have a little black. I might just touch a little black. And these two colors seem to match up pretty well. So using this and a 100 grit sandpaper, what I'm going to do is just do just a little bit, because I think this is fun, but I want to reverse it now and repeat it. So I think I'll do just a little connection in here, and I'm going to stick to a color very close to this. And when you do this, you have to have the surface wet. So I'm just going to spray the surface, place this down, and I'm going to start connecting the color from here down here. Nice. And then I might just add a little touch of gray and just a little touch of the black. So I put the colors close to where they are. There's some black here, so we'll just put a little bit more black there. Now we'll carefully lift this. Aha! See the nice pattern? And then what you have to do is gently mist into this so that these little tiny particles become completely saturated and sink and bond into the fibers of the paper. So just a little additional spraying. I'm quite happy the way the colors matched up. See, it took 70 some colors to pick on the right one. I think up here, I'm thinking over here and over here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wet this area. Just set this here. And I'm basically just going to do the grays. This is going to be real subtle. I just want to build up a little more dark up here. So this is the gray and the black. Because my plan all along was to be darker up here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm kind of thinking back of what I had in mind. So again, we've got to carefully lift this up. Oh, yes. So I wet it first, very important. It's got to have a wet surface. Then you come in and you add additional spray, and you can see it's getting darker when you do that too. So it's kind of fun. We have a reversal of the same thing. And now I'm going to do just one more little spot down here. And a lot of times I do this as a transition. I'll just have a little softness coming off. A little soft. I think I'll do it right here as just ever so little softness coming out here. So first of all, wet. Secondly, place what you have in mind. Now in this case, I'm going to color sand a similar color. So I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to keep it very subtle. This one's going to be like a transition here coming out. That's all. Very subtle. Ah, perfect. Again, we have to spray it. And it's time to take a look at what we've done here. I can see where I might want to do just a few more additional crisp lines. And to do this, I would do it with my dark and go back to my pipette because I really like that look. So I'm going to stir this up with my pipette. Suck it up. And with just a little bit more connection here. See, I just feel we need another connection coming through here. Oh yeah, this is great. Little distraction over this. I probably should have waited till it was bone dry. I can see I'm getting a lot of movement in those wet areas. But it's okay too. It's all about lost and found, hard and soft. Oh, this is fun. I do like this. It's amazing how a napkin can inspire a painting. But thank you, whoever did that beautiful napkin. What we're going to do now is put a mat on it. Abstract paintings always need a mat. And this is a 15 by 15, just a simple mat. So now you can see how nice this looks with a final presentation. Very, very fun. So I do like these rest areas. I like this development. I like the linear effect. And I particularly like the color. The color was what really inspired me. So I'm going to end up with just a little show of some of the paintings that you saw in the slideshow. I'm going to show you the real thing. So this is the first one you saw. And as you can see, this is all about harmonic color and a lot of texture from collage. This is the second one you saw. And this one had collage paper that had gold in it. It was actually some lovely collage paper I picked up when I was in France. And it had Klimt as the theme of the paper, and I'm a big Klimt fan. So this is a ripped up Klimt painting that inspired this. The color, the texture, the gold, the bling, the whole thing, and the strong darks, because the paper itself had a lot of strong darks in it. This is the one with the purples. And what I really like about this is the values. This one has very strong values, all the way from the white of the paper to the black, and then these gorgeous soft, basically harmonic colors in between, just the gray, the pink, and the purple. I do like that a lot too. And then this is the one I lifted out a lot of these shapes, and I don't think the picture in my slideshow did justice to this. This really looks a lot better now when you see it in person. And of course, when you give it a presentation with the mat, they're absolutely lovely. And here you can see collage paper, the lifting like I did with Mr. Clean. And here I went outside with the same stencil and then took metallic spray in a can. So this is metallic spray in a can in several places. And then this is just a very, very dark color that I painted on. Imagine that, I put the paint on the end of a brush. It just came through and worked out some of this nice path in the focal area. This is another piece I did with the two colors that granulate. They were both made dug out of rock that was ground up and made into these lovely paints by Daniel Smith. And the colors in this, to me, are so exciting. I filmed this one from the beginning to the end. And so right now I'm thinking about how I want to end this. And see, I'm thinking about Paris and these beautiful colors, the grays. I like some of the writing. Or I'm also thinking of the possibility of doing San Marco. I just got home from Venice and I can just see the San Marco domes in this. And ta-da, I have one more. I also filmed this one before a live audience, and you're seeing it now partway done. But what I plan to do is to develop this with some more collage and lifting out some lights with Mr. Clean. So I hope your painting goes well.